attention and praise given it. I think that Garvey's movement was bigger, about 10 times larger than Callie House, but she's a woman, and the government destroyed Callie House before they even got around to Garvey. They went after Garvey in the 1920s. They took him down by 1921. He was done. Callie House, they got even faster. The FBI, what became the FBI, went after Callie House long before Marcus Garvey even came to the United States. So there had been an effort against her and the grassroots, foundational Black Americans getting anything. In fact, some people like the idea of us going back to Africa. I love Africa. Africa's beautiful, but America's my home. I have African lineage, African heritage, but I live here, we built here, and we want to get paid off of here.
That's right, thank you. And final question, Dr. Short. Can you give us any other historical facts that are pertinent to the reparations movement in our country?
Absolutely. The idea of reparations, everybody has gotten it but us. The Union soldiers who were white got reparations. In fact, 80 years ago, they had the bonus march right here. The thing that made the bonus march go crazy was not that there were just whites, but Black and whites together demanding reparations for having served in World War I. And the U.S. Army literally came down this Pennsylvania Avenue with tanks and tear gas, shooting and beating people. They did not want the Blacks to get it. It's all about stopping us because the wealth and riches of this nation has been taken out of the blood and the bones of our ancestors, and they're more against us getting paid than anybody else. And the only way that this can be corrected is it's got to be just for us, about us, and now.
Let us know how to follow you and keep in touch.
You know, I'm one of the D-list people here. There's some A-list people like Brother Boyce and Dr. Small. I'm way down, but I'm a DC local. You can reach me. Okay,
let's go.
Right, y'all say.
Let's go.
Okay, well, I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. I'm DRS1, Angry BMC. It stands for Dr. Randy Short, Angry Black Male Book Club. I'm angry. You should be angry too. You should hate not having that check too.
Right.
Don't you? Don't you hate not having the check?
Real talk.
All right. Now the other thing is email. wrandyshort@gmail. And if y'all like me, I definitely need a piece. You can cash at me. That is Dr. Randy Short. Because I need something to help you get the check.
Thank you. Clap it up for Dr. Randy Short. Next up, we have our brother Raheem Shabazz. Clap it up, clap it up.
Peace and Black Power, family. Peace, love, and reparation.
Yes, sir.
So, our brother Raheem Shabazz is an award-winning documentary and filmmaker. You have to check out Elementary Genocide. He talks about the school-to-prison pipeline and interviews a lot of experts. Does wonderful work. Is wearing a dope T-shirt. What does your T-shirt say, brother?
Only accept apologies in the form of reparations. Cut the check.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you for coming up. I just had a few questions for you about the reparations movement.
Let's get it.
Why is this movement for foundational Black Americans and lineage-based reparations important to you?
When I think about the reparation movement, right, I think about a movement and not a moment. And what I think about is Queen Mother Moore, who started way back in the days and popularized the reparation movement. But before we go to her, we got to go to Callie House. Now the brother, he was just up here and he was talking about Callie House, right? She was a Black woman that started the Ex-Slaves Mutual Relief and Pension Association. And this was in the 1800s. But if you want to go further back than that, we can go further back than that. And all these movements were started by a Black woman, right? And then if you want to go, we can go to Chicago to the third ward. It was a sister named Dorothy Tillman, and she started a reparation movement. And what she did in the city, she said, she was an alderman. She said, in order to do business with this city, you have to show us where your money comes from. And if your money comes from slaves, then they was able to sue. And that got started in 11 cities. We need to pick that back up, right? So the reparations is not a moment, it's a movement. And we gotta seize the moment while we in this movement.
Absolutely. Whoa, wonderful. Clap it up for Brother Raheem. Wonderful, wonderful response. I got another question for you. I understand that there are folks in the back that probably can't hear as well. Try to gently move yourself forward. Don't rush the stage though. But there are folks in the back that said that they can't hear. So we want to make sure folks can hear. You all can squeeze in. There's space in the front. Thank you. So, what is your personal commitment to this movement? What do you set out to do from today forward to make sure that you are fighting for our reparations claim?
My personal commitment is not only to amplify the voice, my voice, but my commitment is to amplify everybody's voice, you know, because we all know that the choir is louder than the soloist, right? So it ain't just one individual, it's all of us. And all of us together, we gotta amplify the voice. What we really have to do when we come in the room, there's two types of people, right? There are those that check the temperature, and there are those that raise the temperature. I'm one of the people that's gonna raise the temperature and make the goddamn enemy sweat. Because we want our check, right? All right?
Absolutely. Final question. You did elementary genocide. You're very passionate about our young people and our youth. And as a parent, what suggestions do you have for the other brothers and sisters out here that are parents that want to get their children involved in the reparations movement or to teach them about it?
Well, in order to start teaching them about it, you gotta have the education, right? And the only way you're gonna get an education is if we educate ourselves. So the number one thing is what we gotta do, we gotta stop sending our children to the open enemies. And the most revolutionary thing that we can do is to marry black. And I'm gonna say peace and power. FBA all day.
Hold on. You know what? People from New York, I mean, they like to get in and get out. You know what I mean? They move real quick.
I thought you was done. Let's go.
Move real quick.
I got all day. Let's go.
All right, so you're a parent. I know you gave your response. Anything else around getting our children involved? What should be done in schools around this topic? Clearly, you've done a lot of research with educators. You've done a lot of research in terms of the curriculum, and you know what's missing. What onus do you put on the teachers?
Well, when it comes to educating our kids, once again, I say that we gotta have those that look like us to educate our kids. They gotta see us.
Clap it up.
From our worldview and our eyes, right? Malcolm X told us we are the only people to allow the open enemy to educate our kids, right? We are the holders and the keepers of ourself and responsibility. So our number one responsibility is to educate them. And in terms of reparations, we gotta let them know, right, that this is a protracted movement. This ain't something that's gonna happen overnight, but in the long run, it's gonna happen. Some people believe that slavery will never be abolished, that slavery is always gonna exist, and today we know it don't exist. We ain't slaves, right?
That's
All
right.
right.
Hold on, wait. Repeat again. I didn't hear that call and response back. We ain't slaves, right?
Hell no.
Oh, all right. All right. And so another question. We want to keep this going. There are many of our brothers and sisters that are experiencing incarceration. Do you feel like there's something that can be done education-wise for our brothers and sisters who are experiencing incarceration around our reparations claim in this movement?
Oh, absolutely. When it comes to incarceration, we have to go back to the beginning of it, you know what I mean? And it starts in the school system, the school to prison pipeline, which my documentary is about. And we know that they look at the 3rd and 4th grade reading level, right? And if you're not reading on grade level, by the time you're in the 3rd or 4th grade, there's a 75% chance you're going to end up in prison. And these prisons are sold on the stock market. When you go to these private prisons website, right, and you look at the ticker, you see the stock market on there. And they also have a motto: if we build it, they will come. So they look at this and they know how many prisons to build 10 to 15 years in advance. So what we have to do is we have to teach our children, we have to let them know who the open enemy is, and we have to educate them so they don't fall up in the school to prison pipeline.
Absolutely. Brother, let us know where to find your film and your work, your podcast, and all the wonderful things you're doing.
You can check me out on Necessary Blackness Podcast, and as far as social media, everything is at Raheem Shabazz, and as far as the film, elementarygenocide.com.
Absolutely. Thank you. Give it up for our brother Raheem.
Peace, love, and reparations, family.
That's right. That's right. So I'm going to introduce the next speaker, who came here all the way from Tulsa. Clap it up for Tulsa, y'all.
Yeah.
Our next speaker is none other than the beautiful Christy Williams. Christy Williams is a 1921 race massacre descendant and Creek Freedman descent. Christy has served the Greenwood and North Tulsa community for over 11 years through concrete grassroots organizing. I'm gonna read your whole bio because you deserve it, Queen. That's right. Yes, and you can step from behind the podium so we can see you. Because this is a bio worth reading, honestly. Christy is the founder of the Black History Saturdays in Tulsa, artist, a Greenwood historian, author of the book Healing Me for Me, program manager for Fitting Black Tulsa, and consultant. She does a lot of wonderful work. She's also participated in the Emmy-nominated documentary by LeBron James called Dreamland, The Burning of Black Wall Street, Who We Are, A Chronicle of Racism in America, Soul of a Nation, and PBS, The Fire and the Forgotten. Christy believes in leaving your community better than you found it. Clap it up for Christy.
I just want to say this is beautiful. When I walked up, I was just like, wow, this is beautiful. Black is beautiful, isn't it?
Absolutely. So we want to know about your work and your experience. So you are of the lineage, right? Your ancestors descended from American slavery, and you're also a Native American, a Black, how do you identify? A Creek.
So I'm not Native American, and so what people need to understand when I say Creek freedmen, that means that the Creek Nation in Indian Territory, now Oklahoma, enslaved my ancestors, my people, my great-great-grandfather, who came on the Trail of Tears as a slave, not as a kumbaya moment, but as a slave. And so when we talk about reparations in Oklahoma, we're not only talking about national reparations, we're talking about reparations from the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, and we're talking about reparations from these tribes who owe us too.
Folks in the tribes enslaved your ancestors, and I know many of us, fall into that category as well. And I know that the centennial commemorating the burning down of Black Wall Street, the Greenwood neighborhood down in Tulsa, that happened last summer. A lot of folks showed up, a lot of cameras came, there was a lot of news coverage, but there are folks like you who've been on the ground advocating for the survivors and for the deceased. Can you tell us a little bit about your work advocating for reparations for those who have been victimized by the race massacre?
Yes. So one of the things that we did in Tulsa, and I say we because I didn't do it by myself, but we changed the narrative from riot to massacre. So don't let anyone tell you it was a race riot. It was a massacre.
That's what it was.
They used the term riot, so that way it implied that it was from both sides. And we know that didn't happen. So we have to tell the truth. So just changing that narrative was important. And I also serve on the 1921 Mass Graves Oversight Committee, where we are finding our ancestors in these mass graves. And just before I left, we found 18 more bodies, and 7 of those were children. And so we are still on the path of that. It's really hard because we're still fighting the city. And the city of Tulsa wants to look good while it's doing nothing. And so you know, and then it goes back to that question, how can we ask the same people who played a huge role in the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre to investigate itself, right? So while we're on this oversight committee, we understand what we're fighting. And so please be on the lookout for information about that. Give us the support, your prayers, your love, as we continue to fight and fight and fight for our ancestors, especially as we're pulling them out of these mass graves. Because I literally pulled them out myself. Me and our city councilor, Vanessa Hall Harper, the only black city councilor in Tulsa, we literally pull these bodies up out ourselves with the archaeologists there, because we're not just letting white hands touch on our ancestors. So that's what we're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, I read that news that they exhumed more bodies. When I was down there last summer, I actually went to the cemetery and I got to see the bulldozer, but there were some white folks there at that time, so I'm really grateful that y'all are down there doing that work, because we don't want any white hands on our ancestors touching their bodies, so that's really important. You are a tremendous organizer, and you know, for folks who came from different parts of the country today, being mobilized around reparations, what advice do you have for them as an organizer to get involved in their communities around this topic?
I say take everything from here today, network with people, go back home, and organize. Get your issues together, your goals, what you want to do, what you want to accomplish in your community, and do it. And then you can call on a lot of people here that's willing to help you to get those things done. And so these moments are beautiful. Like, this is so beautiful as I'm just looking out here and I see the RBG flag. I love it. The FBA, it's just beautiful. It's beautiful out here. So just use this moment to build something when you go back home. Don't let this just be a moment. Don't let it be a moment. Tariq worked so hard for this. You guys, don't let it be a moment. Don't let it be a moment.
Thank you. And the final question I have is around, it's also about organizing. And again, I'm very child-centered, so I just have questions about how can we get young people involved around this topic of reparations? Because long after we're gone, you know, we're still going to be holding the line. We want to teach our children to pick up the baton.
Exactly.
I always say young people do what they see us do. It's always not what we tell them to do, but what they see us do. I grew up watching my parents organize, and I hated that our house was always the meeting house. I used to hate when I'd come home and see that. And I used to hate when my parents would drag me to city council meetings and to go out holding up signs, picketing things and businesses. I used to hate that because I wanted to go be with my friends, and it was embarrassing to be out there with my parents doing that kind of stuff. So I never thought that I would be doing this one day. I never thought that I would be doing this one day. So it's really what they see you do. You have to be the example and bring your children with you. Bring your children with you, the things that you do in your communities. Like, kids should be here today, and I see some out here. This is great. But again, kids do what they see us do. And so it's up to us. It starts with us, and it's going to end with our children.
Absolutely. And the final question, I promise. Can you talk to us about policies, any policy work you've done around restitution and reparations in Tulsa or even nationally?
Mm-hmm. Well, I do work with Justice for Greenwood with the lawsuit on still trying to get reparations. Also on a policy level, the Justice for Greenwood is a nuisance lawsuit, which takes a lot more detail to explain, but it's a lawsuit where we're actually suing the city for the wrongs that was done. But also on a policy side, working with the city councilor, we're also creating policies that's going to also protect if we get reparations, and also we're going to also just keep creating policies for things that like the city of Tulsa had the equality indicators where they measured the inequities of Black people in Tulsa. We came out on the bottom of the barrel on everything from housing to education to healthcare. So we're creating policies in all of those areas, and we're trying to get these pushed through the city council. So I always say reparations is cash and land, and everything else is just good damn policy. And so that's what we have to have.
Absolutely, y'all. Ms. Christie, before you leave, please let us know where to follow you and how to support your work.
You can follow me on Twitter, Christy is Loved, and on Instagram, I'm Arisha B.E. I know that's hard to spell out. Arisha B.E. Williams on Instagram. But you can please follow me at either one of those and just follow the work that we're doing. I tell you, after the centennial, we all lost our jobs because we raised so much hell. So you have to, as Teslin always teaches us, there's consequences to consciousness. And so I just want to leave you all with that. It's hard work, but be ready for the backlash because it's going to come. I always tell people, you may lose your job. You may lose out of social networks, but that's okay because you still have to keep pushing. And if I can do it, you all can do it.
Thank you so much, Christy. Y'all clap it up for Miss Christy Williams. She's done wonderful work. I got to experience her. I've seen her on TV, and I actually got to learn from her at the Push the Line training. So she's a wonderful organizer. Please support everything she has going on. She's holding the line, holding these folks accountable down in Tulsa, right? And it's taken a lot of time and effort and sacrifice, and we are so grateful.
Hold it down, sir. Yeah.
We want our check.
That's right, we want our check. So the next person we're gonna bring up is an artist. We're gonna bring up my brother. If you follow me on social media for quite some time, you may have seen a picture of somebody dressed up in a particular manner. Hopefully he can make it. You might have to take it. All right, just give us a second. Clap it up for this man. Show him some love. Y'all don't know what y'all about to see. Clap it up, clap it up. Clap it up. This is our brother, Sharif Sheffy.
Oh.
And it speaks for itself.
Oh.
Where you want to stand at? Don't hit the podium. Right here. I'm going to put the mic to your mouth, okay? So our brother Sharif has an exhibit where he has shown up in D.C., because I've seen it, I've been there, in front of the Supreme Court, in front of Mitch McConnell's house, at reparations meetings, in these national conversations, wearing iron and chains as a reminder of the debt that is owed. Show this brother some love right quick. Our brother Sharif is from the DMV, and I'm gonna put the mic up to let him introduce himself and to tell you all about his work and why he does this work.
Thank you, my sister, Jay. I appreciate you. First of all, I want to say assalamu alaikum. To all my brothers and sisters around the world, and you brothers right here, and you sisters right here, I love y'all. I only do this because I want to make sure that our young people understand, like, when we leave, they are responsible for our next move. And it's on us to make sure that we give them the next move. And what I'm trying to get everybody to understand, like, the lost man shame of America with 3 Ks, and let you know that this is all about white supremacy.
Yes.
Our people have suffered for many, many years.
Yes.
And one thing that I want y'all to know, if you can Google, just the Joe Biden administration alone, they are giving out trillions and trillions of dollars to Ukraine. And it's impossible that we cannot get a nickel, one nickel, towards reparation. Our ancestors have been slaughtered. Our women has been slaughtered, mutilated. Our men has been disrespected, mutilated. We have been killed every single day. It's not a state that I'm about to ready to retire. It's not a state that I can constantly think that I can go and live in without being harmed. As you can see, the gray hair, I'm not able to protect myself as much as I would like to when I was 19 years old, 20 years old. So what's gonna happen to when us, the freedom fighters of us today, start looking real old who's going to protect us? Who's going to protect us? So it's our obligation to make sure those young people understand their freedom and understand that freedom is not free. And we have to earn that. And Jay, I want to thank you for giving me this moment. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Sheree Sheffy. I'm the Freedom Fighters of the DMV, and this is the Lost Man Shaman of America. Let's go, brother. Thank you.
Clap it up for our brother Sharif Sheffy. Before I let him go, hold on, brother. One of the things our brother also has done, he goes to different historical sites around the country, literal slave auction blocks and things like that, you know, wanting to preserve history. Can you speak a little bit about some of the places that were tied to slavery that the white supremacists are trying to erase or pretend like never existed, and how you've advocated to sort of keep them visible so that we will never forget?
Yes, one of the places has been Fredericksburg, Virginia. Right. There's a slave block there that's been sitting there since pre-Civil War. So that means before the Civil War. And that slave block been sitting in the middle of downtown Fredericksburg. They want to move it to a museum. I went there with this, you know, with this outfit on and said no. I went to Chicago, the first place that was received some form of reparations, and I was there with Cobra. I'm out in California, where the governor has said that reparation is a must, that we must have it. I've been basically in every state. I'm in the process now of going to South Carolina to open up a new museum there on January 23rd. 2023. Our history has to be told. Our history cannot be hidden. I believe that every statue that has been towards white supremacy, don't move the statue. Leave the statue there and put another statue beside it so that we can talk about our history along with their history. You must not know, but right there in Annapolis, and also West Point.
Oh, boo.
Right. West Point, they have 11 by 5 white Ku Klux Klan statue in the middle of West Point.
Still
And
got
that's
some shit up in
unbelievable.
Calvert County, too.
That's the military. So thank you for having me, and I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Take your time going out. Clap it up for our brother Sharif Sheffy. All right. Next up, we have someone from LA. Anybody here from LA? So this is our brother, Dewan B. Dewan B has, first of all, he's a music historian. I don't care if it's the blues, if it's about jazz, if it's about hip hop. Dewan B got the facts.
Brother, no.
He's a music historian and he's a podcast host. The podcast is called Hotepish and Incense and Ashtrays. Give it up for our brother Dewan B.
What up, y'all? What up, y'all? How y'all doing?
What's up, wow?
Get this all down. I got it. I'm good. Too, a little too short for me. Y'all good? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's beautiful to see y'all. This is beautiful. So what's up, Jay? What's going on?
DC has nice weather too, not just in LA. You know?
No, this is... LA was cold.
It was cold?
I don't know what happened. Like, I'm like, when I left this morning, it was like, brr. I'm like, this fat is for beauty, not for cold. I don't know what that was. Like, sheesh. I don't know what that was. It just feel like LA, but go ahead.
30 white supremacists
really
in
grateful
here.
to have
Smash
you,
the fucking light.
You've been really vocal about our lineage-based reparations, especially on Twitter, on your podcast, Incense and Ashtrays, and also Hotepish, which is your brand. I just want you to talk about like when you first got interested or involved in the reparations movement.
I got interested because Dr. Claude Anderson came to my church when I was 12.
Clap it up.
Right around the time he released Black Labor, White Wealth, there was this other church that my church was like a sister church with, Crenshaw Christian Center out in LA. And Fred Price and his mustache allowed Dr. Claude Anderson to come on down And so as a kid, I was like, who was this dude? He said something I ain't never heard before. He sounded different than Al Sharpton. He sounded different than Jesse Jackson. You know what I mean? Like, who is this dude? And then I never saw him again for a long time until Hidden Colors. And so, hey, that's what really got me into it.
So what was it about Dr. Anderson and his message or his work that really inspired you?
He was unapologetically black, you know? Like, y'all know how it is when y'all watch TV. These people be over there tip-tapping and everything. Like, I don't know if I want to be black or not. They don't know. Dr. Claude Anderson came and sat down, put his chin up, and spoke for black people. And there was just something about that made me be like, okay, I like this dude.
Real talk.
Absolutely. So tell me about the way that they've, well, you know, I went over the 5 pillars for reparation, right? And one of them is restitution. A lot of our stolen intellectual property and our cultural contributions have been hijacked by the dominant society. Can you speak about the debt that is owed there in particular?
Let's think about this. Black people invented every form of music that's out there. Country, western, hip hop, jazz, blues, whatever it is, we named it. If everything squared, we made it. So if we have our money, if we have our restitution, if on a shoestring budget we can create 1 Motown Records, what can we do with our money? We would never need these other people who are canceling Nike contracts and all this stuff.
That part.
If we had the money to fund it. Like, I think about it like this. My great-grandfather invented the automatic railroad crossing. That when the train comes, it trips and the automatic. My great-grandfather invented that out of Benton Harbor, Michigan. And he was the grandson of a slave that was supposed to be freed in 1855. In 1855, he was supposed to be freed, but the Mississippi state governor came in and said, due to unforeseen circumstances, yeah, your slave master freed you in your will, but we ain't letting it happen. They had land in Natchez, Mississippi. Natchez, Mississippi in the 1850s was some of the richest land in America. My family would have gotten that land. Since we didn't get that land, they had to move up to Benton Harbor, Michigan. And when he invented the automatic railroad crossing, he had to sell it. What if he had that land that was passed down to him, and he had the money from that land, and then when he invented the automatic railroad crossing, who would have funded it? Us.
Okay, us.
I'm the 5th generation that would have been profiting from that investment. So when we think about it, if we go back in our families, all of us have a grandfather, granduncle that did something great. And we not benefiting on it because of the color of our skin. So that's why we need reparations.
Facts.
Real talk. Real talk.
In the entertainment industry. Our cultural contributions.
Cultural contributions in the entertainment. You should see, like, well, I don't do it that much anymore, but I'm also a stand-up comic. When I'm out there in Hollywood, you should see when we at the open mics, you see all the people that write for all the Tonight shows, all them white boys in the back taking notes. You say a joke at an open mic, taking notes. Next thing you know, you look up your show is on late night TV and you still broke. So that's what they do to us in entertainment. We need reparations because not only do they steal from us on the lowest level, when we finally get something going, they sabotage it. Like in LA, you got Chocolate Sunday, nigga night. You got Black Monday, nigga night. Then you got Negro Tuesday, nigga night. They only let us perform on one night of the week, and then that one night of the week that we perform, it makes up for the full budget for the week for the whole comedy club. Because white folks buy beer, we buy Hennessy. Hennessy costs way more than beer. And so we literally keep these places open. We keep their ideas open. When you look at Sweetback, what Melvin Van Peebles did. When you look at Oscar Michaud, what he did. Every time Hollywood needs a lifeline, it comes to us. But we the least paid. And then if you notice a move that was made about 10 years ago, when black actors were talking about getting our money and making more money, what did they do? They brought in Africans and people from across the diaspora. And no disrespect to them, but they willing to work for slave labor. We ain't. It's time to get our check. It's that simple.
Thank you. And before you go, give a couple words of encouragement to our brothers and sisters to, so that we continue to persevere in this movement, because it's not always a smooth ride.
Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, because this is a multi-generational effort. Cash reparations is just the first thing. That's first. Like, this is the down payment, you dig? We gotta pass this on to our kids, because you know what? We gonna get them the cash. But then we're gonna need city cash reparations, state cash reparations, federal, private businesses, all those Hollywood reparations, education reparations. We need all these reparations. We need more reparations than Al Sharpton got perms. We need reparations. And so it's a continual process. We as a people gotta keep pushing it. It's a lot of love in here. I feel the love. I love y'all. And make sure we do this. When we talk about approaching with love, that doesn't mean letting somebody kick your butt. Love means loving yourself to the point to where you won't take what they have to give you. Love means treating other black people and forgiving other black people the way Democrats forgive white folks. That's love. And love each other, love yourself, love your family, and I love you.
Let us know how to follow you.
Follow me at Dewan B on Twitter. At Dewan B is on my YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. It's all the same, at Dewan B. IncenseandAshtrays.com. I'm talking to 400 years of Black American music. I put my documentary together. It's called Bigger Than Hip Hop, Black America's Cultural Influence on the World for the last 400 years. Because when they cut it off to hip hop, they leaving out 350 years of our greatness. We gotta know that. I love y'all.
Absolutely. Thank you. Give it up for our brother Dewan B. Awesome. All the way from California. Next up, also from California, we have the lovely attorney, Miss Connie Collins. First of all, Miss Connie is responsible for having this event run as smoothly as it's done. We are so grateful for her. Clap it up for Connie. She is a driven community activist and advocate. She has been recognized by the City of Los Angeles for her political and advocacy work and was written about in the Los Angeles Times, a graduate of Howard University, undergraduate, and Howard University's, some bison in here, did I hear somebody say HU? Okay. In Howard School of Law, Connie developed a fierce passion for social justice advocacy. In 2021, she founded the National Coalition for Equality, Equity, and Justice, NCEEJ, whose mission is to promote equality, equity of rights, and to advance the best interests of Black American citizens, freedmen in particular, in the areas of reparations and workforce development. Everyone give it up for our queen, Connie Collins.
Good afternoon. Hey guys, I don't have a speech written, but guess what? I'm going to speak from my heart. So first of all, I'm going to keep it gully. Hootie hoo! Hootie hoo! Okay, I'm going to say peace, love, and reparations. Can I hear you guys say peace, love, and reparations? Peace, love, and reparations. One more again. Peace, love, and reparations. Peace, love, and reparations. Okay, so let me tell you guys this. I don't even know what to say. This is freaking beautiful. This is beautiful. Can you guys imagine if we had greater lead time? This is love. This is family. This is who we are. This is our culture. Now I'm going to take you to church. Turn to the person to your left and say peace, love, and reparations. Peace, love, and reparations, bro. Turn to the person to your right. This is how we do. What this rally is about, it's about us. It's about our culture. See how naturally we didn't feel any type of way. This is what we do. We're here in the nation's capital that we built. right? Look around you. Who did this?
Our ancestors got that.
We did this, right? Who designed Washington, D.C.? Somebody. Benjamin Banneker, a freedman, a foundational Black American. So what my message is today, hold your head high every day. Don't let anybody tell you that you don't have a right to define who you are as a people, who we are as a people. We are freedmen. We are recognized by the federal government as emancipated persons, formerly enslaved. Don't let anybody, oh, you used to be a slave. Damn right. Damn right. And we survived. And we're resilient. And we're improvisational. We are the most creative, athletic, intelligent, artistic, creative, loving, kind. Who are we? We're freed men, foundational Black Americans. So what I want you guys to take away from this today, this is like a recalibration of who we are. This movement is beautiful. I don't think it's been since 1965, since the Civil Rights Movement. This is a humanitarian movement. This is the first time that we put ourselves first. They have us so convinced we gotta bring these people with us, the brown people, the LGBTQ, the people who swim in the sea, right? Don't fall for that anymore. Do not fall for that. You stand strong. You don't have to drag anybody on our coattails. We're great people, and as they say, to whom much is given, much is expected. We've been a very humble people. Very humble. If we were half, 1/10, 1/32 as violent as they said we were, nobody would be here. Because we're humble. Because we're great. Because we're family. And then they'll tell you, oh, you don't have a culture. Let's talk about family and culture. We are 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 culture. Now let's talk about family. They say we have no culture, so we watch the media. What do they do on the media? They don't show you a full Black family.
No, they don't.
They don't show you a full Black family.
Hell no, they don't.
They're going to show you a Black man with another, a Black woman with another, right? They're going to show a single mother. What this movement is about,
Or some mixed
you're
kid
out here,
that I don't know
you're being
what the
active.
fuck
That
he
means
is.
you're being an activist in this moment. You are being an activist just by being here. Now, what I need you to do, this is a mini call to action. When you leave here, you make sure you pick a lane and do something. Some of you start with the media. Get busy. Start contacting the media and say, I don't like the visuals. You don't have to keep saying this is how it is. This is not how it is. You know, let's look at the Kyrie situation.
Hey, let's do that.
Let's look at that.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about it.
Kyrie, you got love, bro. You got support.
The message that I'm taking away from this, Tyreek is back there. Kyrie caught a stray. Kyrie caught a stray, but the message they're sending us is none of us get to speak.
That's right.
Not against the people that are coming after him, but anybody. If you pay attention, any other ethnic group, if you say something about Latinos, you've got to apologize. You've got to write a check. You say something about Asians, you've got to write a check, right? You say something about Eastern Europeans, you got to write a check, lose your career. Fat people, no offense to fat people, I love to eat. However, fat people and Black American freedmen are the only people that can be insulted in this country and have no repercussions. So it's time to wake up. Now back to family and culture. One of the things that I hear a lot of us saying is, oh, I'm just regular Black.
What's that?
Who's regular black?
I don't even know
All
what
the
that is.
regular blacks, step forward. I want to see you, so I can talk about you. Okay, you're not regular black. You're original black. The term black is not to be argued. No offense to immigrants. If you're allying with us, we welcome you. We consider you brothers and sisters if you are on code. If you are on code. And what that means, what being on code means as another type of black person, a black immigrant, that means that you do not speak against us in our country, in the land that we built. You do not speak against reparations. You do not get on television talking about them lazy people. They need to get over slavery. That's what's holding them back.
That's terrible.
Does anybody tell the Jews to get over the Holocaust? Does anybody tell the Armenians to get over the Armenian genocide? No. We are the only people that isn't allowed to have a past, a present, and a future. We are the only people that are told, get over it. You'll just do better. And what that really means is kiss up to the whites. And we're seeing a lot of immigrants come here, and they're coming for comfort. And that's why they get along so well. We can't forget, because we need our reparations. Our generational wealth was stolen. Why would we forget? Why would we forget what happened to our ancestors?
I come for jollof and a white woman.
Why would we forget our history? We see white supremacists saying,
You have a white woman.
we see white supremacists saying, hey, you know what? We're just, the Confederate flag, we're just honoring our history. Why is it that everybody else gets to honor our history?
No
We're
good.
supposed to have our heads hung low. No more. No more. We have a right to have a history. We have a right to speak on all of the atrocities and injustices heaped upon us. And that's why we're demanding reparations. If we don't get reparations, we're doomed. How are we the poorest people in the nation that we built? We were here before the founding of this country. How are we the bottom rung of the ladder? That is intentional. It is systematic. So when people tell you reparations is a handout, oh, you're just lazy, you want to be a victim. First of all, yeah, I'm a victim. How come everybody else gets to be a victim? Right? Everybody gets to talk about who victimized them and like people don't even know this. The Jews are still getting reparations from the United States.
Yes, they are.
And we paying for it. And we paying for it.
Joe Biden said after he was
And we
pushed
ain't
and
do
pushed
it.
and pushed, and thank you for the grassroots, because we're pushing this reparations conversation. So Joe Biden said, you know what? I'm not interested in reparations. And then one day he switched up. Oh yeah, I'm for reparations as long as the Native Americans get it. What? First of all, the Native American, I'm not even going to go into the full history of Native Americans.
Jim
the
Crow
Native Americans
Joe.
just got
Jim
half of
Crow
Oklahoma's
Joe.
land. They have casinos. Some of them get hundreds of thousands of dollars when they turn 21.
Say, man,
They have
tell them
nothing
Bama
to do with
smash
us.
the
We
light.
have a different
The hell
justice
wrong with
plan.
y'all?
This is not a handout. This is a debt. It is a debt for 250 years and sometimes more for being sold by West Africans to white Europeans, to being kidnapped, to being sexually trafficked, to being separated from our families. We're going to get real dirty about this because everybody wants to talk about slavery as if it's just some hard work. No, we're going to talk about this today. Our parents, our forefathers, our ancestors, not our parents, sorry about that, they were raped. Know this if you don't know your history. Men, women, children, and babies. Everything that is illegal today was legal then. That's why we're old. It's a government-sanctioned atrocity and injustice. We worked sometimes till the meat fell off our bones.
Amen.
Literally. And then they killed them because they were of no use. We were fed, our babies were fed to alligators.
Alligator bait.
These are the things, if you don't know, dig into your history so you know why you are old. Reparations. It's getting heavy. I know, it's not a pretty topic, right? But we need to know what happened to us. All these patents that we have, we had just during enslavement, we had 50,000 patents from enslavement to Reconstruction, and we have even more. I'll get into that in a minute.
Right.
But we did that during enslavement. A lot of people don't know this. The way to get free was to enrich your slave master. Create something, save his life. I forgot what else. We have been inventing and being geniuses since we set foot here. The best culinary dishes come from us, right? Southern food is us. So we're owed for slavery, then thereafter peonage, black codes. You just stood, so this was another way for them to re-enslave us, right? So what they would do was arrest our men for lordery. You can loiter for 30 seconds. And they would arrest you so they could put you in prison. That's convict leasing. Then they leased you back to the slave master. They just changed names, still slavery, right? That's what we've been dealing with. We've never had a fair chance in this country. Then we had Jim Crow. Separate but equal. Intelligent people. But we still had to be porters and maids, even if you went and got a degree. Thank you. We built our own cities and towns. 200 to 300 of our towns were burnt down or flooded. You've all heard of Black Wall Street. We had many Black Wall Streets, not just one. Know your history. We had towns with airports, train stations, libraries, grocery stores. Know your history. Dig deep. We've never stood a chance. There's nothing wrong with us, family. We are good at uniting, but we're dealing with a devil that's good at destruction. We're dealing with a devil that erases our history. So we have peonage, convict leasing, Jim Crow, redlining. Oh, I skipped. Okay, you know when they talk about a handout? How many times do white people get handouts?
Since they came here.
I'm just going to talk about one of them. When you look around and you see white people with all these beautiful homes, whatever city you live in, every little pocket, the Homestead Act. They were given free land and land grants to farm and homes, and as long as they farmed for the first 5 years,
The Homestead Act.
free.
Grandfather clause.
Meanwhile, we were here, we didn't get that.
Shit, my
Then we went
grandfather
through
was here. Was in the
34,
military.
35 years. Denial of GI
had to go
benefits.
through.
Denial
Exactly.
of Social Security benefits. Denial of unemployment. But we've been here paying taxes. But white people got that, but you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
And I'm
You hear
wearing
me?
Timberland. They don't got
The
straps.
same people that abuse you want to make you into the abuser. Isn't that something? That's wild. Know your history. Now let's think about mass incarceration. We all know about how the officers of today derive from the overseers.
That's right.
Right back to prison, right? Denied education, right? Medical apartheid, gentrification,
Check.
driving freeways, building freeways through our community. And now we're seeing a repeat of the Homestead Act, where white immigrants came in, got free land, and now
Facts.
we're seeing Joe Biden flooding this country with illegal immigrants. I don't begrudge illegal immigrants a place in our society, but the government is supposed to protect
Oh, they got to get the hell from here.
its citizens. We are citizens.
Illegal.
The government is supposed to ensure our prosperity.
That's right.
Look at what Mayor Eric Adams is doing. How do you get an Xbox,
Buck dance.
a place to live,
Flat screen.
free transportation vouchers, cash cards, and we have Black Americans living on the street at the homeless rate of 50%.
Yeah.
This is what reparations is about, and don't you hang your head. Don't you let anybody tell you, oh, you're being divisive. You're being xenophobic. No, what you're doing is you're being you. Hold your head up. delineate. We have a lineage. We are
That's
Black
right.
American freedmen. That's who we are. We are foundational Black Americans. What I'm going to start closing with is I hit all the points of why we're owed reparations. This is not a handout. When the government does wrong, they pay. We just told you they paid the Jews. We told you they paid the Native Americans. They paid the Japanese. They paid other harmed groups. They paid the Romanians. They paid the white slave owners for freeing us. You know why? Because we were property. They got reparations, but all of a sudden everybody becomes a financial guru. When it comes to us getting reparations, well, where you gonna get that money from? Like, well, who gonna pay that? Oh, you're gonna break the country. But we're sending money to Nazi Ukrainians, right? Hand over fist. We're sending foreign aid to every country in the world that the United States destabilizes. But people want to know where the money's coming from. They just churn it out when they need it, right? Where's the money coming from to send everybody a COVID check? There's money for us, and we must get active family. We are family. And I want to say this, when you leave here, give your people a new and better type of grace. We've always been a people, they say that we are not unified. We can go anywhere in this country and get along. So I'm gonna say this in closing, guys. This is beautiful. Thank you for coming out. I just want to do, thank you. Walk away with your head held high. Don't argue with anybody. You know who you are. Stick tight with your people. Peace, love, and reparations. One more time. Peace, love, and reparations.
Give it up for Miss Connie Collins. Awesome, awesome. So we still have many dynamic speakers coming up. But before I introduce the next speaker, I want you to repeat after me. Again, the 5 pillars of reparations. Repeat. Compensation. Restitution. Rehabilitation. Satisfaction. Guarantee of non-repetition. Absolutely. So the next speaker is a man who doesn't need any introduction. Actually, you know what, DJ? Just pull up the music. Coming to the stage, we have our brother, the visionary for the Foundational Black American Conference and Rally for Reparations, our brother, Tariq Nasheed. Give it up, give it
up! What's up, DC? I said, what's up, DC? Who's from DC here?
Right here. Right here.
The home of Frederick Douglass. DC, the home of Dick Gregory.
Yep.
The home of Marion Barry. Yep. The home of Dave Chappelle.
Yep.
The home of Mambo sauce.
Yes, sir.
What y'all putting in that Mambo sauce? DC, we're here, the Rally for Reparations. Look at this beautiful crowd. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, family, it's a couple of days before midterms. We're letting the political structure know we want tangibles as foundational Black Americans.
Facts.
And we're not going to let them redefine what reparations mean, right? Is reparations student loan debt?
Hell no.
Is reparations HBCU funding? Hell no. Is reparations minority business loans?
Hell no.
Is reparations catfish nuggets?
Hell no.
What's reparations? Money! What's reparations?
Money!
What's reparations?
Money!
Give yourselves a round of applause.
Now, family, when we talk about reparations, we get the same 7 rebuttals from the dominant society, and we need to know how to address their rebuttals when we talk about what we need to get as far as reparations.
Well, I know.
The first thing that they say is, well, wouldn't reparations be divisive?
No.
Wouldn't that make people in the dominant society not like you?
They don't like us already.
Are you here to be liked by the dominant society? Tina Turner told us, what's love got to do with it? We're trying to get our money. We're already divided, but they control our resources. So we want them to divide our money and give it back to us because we are owed a debt as foundational Black Americans.
Fact.
The second thing that they try to tell us is, well, other people suffered, it just wasn't Black people. Irish people were enslaved. Italian people were lynched. Native Americans were mistreated, and they're not complaining, so why are you Blacks complaining?
Because they got reparations.
Well, the thing is, these people are not complaining because they were compensated. The Irish, who were indentured servants, they got something called freedom dues after their contract ran out. They got money, land, and weapons. They were compensated. Then they were brought into white society to join all the benefits and reap all the gains of being white. When the Italians were lynched down in New Orleans, there was a situation where there was a mass lynching of Italians. Their families were compensated, and the country of Italy was compensated, and the Italians were allowed into white society to reap the benefits.
Break it down.
The Native Americans, we know the red ones, they were compensated. They broke off all types of money, and many of them enslaved us as well, so they need to be cutting a check too. The third rebuttal that they have for us is, well, if you want to get reparations, FBAs, why don't you go to the Africans who sold you? Have y'all heard that one?
Yeah.
Well, I say to that, number one, the African who sold us, well, he got a one-off. Number two, those countries don't exist no more.
Right.
Those countries over there were colonized and they were absorbed into the white European power structure. So all of their resources were drained. So they need to get the resources from the white power structure in Europe that dominated them, while we're getting money from the white power structure that dominated us, the United States government.
Fact.
Another rebuttal, they say, well, all white people didn't even own slaves during slavery. So how are white people responsible? We didn't all own slaves.
They all benefited.
But it was a slave economy.
They all benefited.
Everybody benefited from the slave economy.
Thank you.
So if you were a white person in the 1800s working for the train station economy was built on the resources that were taken back and forth from the south to the north. So you owe. If you worked for an insurance company in the 1800s, yeah, you didn't own a slave, but you were insuring slaves and you were making money off slavery. If you were a white person in the 1800s working for a bank or a factory, you were getting all the raw materials and refining it in those northern factories, benefiting from slavery. So the whole economy was based on the labor of our foundational Black American ancestors. The next rebuttal is, well, my family came over after the Civil War.
Okay.
So I wasn't even here during slavery. So how do I owe? When your family was over there in the slums of Europe, they heard about a country that was built up off the wealth from the free labor of our ancestors. And they knew that that wealth was mass distributed from our hands into white society and locked in racially. And they sat over there in Europe and said, sign me up, I want to go over there and be a part of that. Amen. So since you want to be a part of it, you're part of the debt and you owe too. The sixth one they say is, well, there's already been reparations paid to Black people. Welfare and affirmative action. Number one, welfare was created for white women in the 1930s. Number two, most welfare recipients in America are white people in middle America. The welfare capital is Owsley County, Kentucky, where 99% of the people are white and on welfare. That's the welfare capital. And as far as affirmative action, we know that affirmative action benefits white women more than anybody.
Say that.
So is affirmative action reparations? No. Exactly. And the last thing they say, family, they say, well, listen, why should I, as a good white person, be on the hook for something that I didn't do? Why should my tax dollars pay for something that I didn't do? I didn't own a slave.
I ain't do the Holocaust.
Did any of you remove red Native Americans from their land?
No.
Your tax dollars go to pay for them now.
Yeah.
Did any of you put people in concentration camps in Germany?
No.
Your tax dollars go to pay off some of the victims of the Holocaust.
Amen.
Did any of you put Japanese Americans in internment camps in World War II?
No.
But your tax dollars go to pay the Japanese families.
And my grandparents.
Did anybody here fly a plane in the World Trade Center? You know some of your tax dollars go to those victims too. Did you create a war in Afghanistan? Billions of your tax dollars go to the Afghanistanian people. Did you cause a war in the Ukraine? Billions of your tax dollars go to the Ukrainian citizens.
Bro, you gonna have to move. You in front of the camera.
So since we're giving all of our tax dollars to these people who are not even citizens for the most part, we're going to make sure the real compensation and the real check is going to be cut for the people who deserved it, who built this country from the ground up, who cultivated the culture in this country. Foundational Black Americans, ladies and gentlemen. Say reparations.
Reparations.
FBA.
FBA.
Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, family, coming to the stage, our next guest, this is a brother you all know and love. He's a mainstay in our Hidden Color series films. This is a master teacher who I love and respect so much from New York City. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for brother Kaba Kamané.
Hotep. Peace. Reparation.
Reparation.
Now. Family, first may I say thank you for your time. As you mature, one of the things you come to realize, the most valuable thing you have is time.
Fuck them up, we keep on
and everything that we're doing right
These
now
are Agent B's.
In our time.
These are white supremacist
It's
B's.
for a future time.
Definitely.
It's for our children.
Yeah, they drone.
And the theme I'd like to talk about is, where do we want to see our children in the year November 5th, 2122?
Whoa.
What do we want them to have in 100 years?
Everything.
Everything. Everything. It's important that we understand this, family. What I've come to do.
You being an agitator now.
Calm down.
What I've come to do is talk to you from a historical perspective.
Yes, sir. No one does
to help us
better.
understand how we got here.
Walk it down.
To help us understand what we have done to make this possible. There are reparations all around the world. In Africa, they have a 10-point plan in Africa for the colonialism of what they've experienced. In the Caribbean, in CARICOM, they have a 10-point plan as to what happened to them in the Caribbean. For those of us who understand what happened when Africa was carved up in 1885 at the Berlin Conference, we understand what happened. England, and France, and Germany, and other countries of Europe carved up Africa and stole all of their resources and colonized them. In the Caribbean, they built up Europe. And here in the United States of America, Africans stolen from Africa built up this country.
Yes, that's right.
The hands that built the pyramids built the White House. I'm talking history. It's important for us to understand they're not giving us anything. We are just claiming what has been ours from the beginning. Not to mention the fact that the original indigenous people were black.
Say it again.
The folk that we know of today, with due respect, they are the fifth migration
That's right.
of humans that came to this part of the world.
That's right.
We were the first. The short-stature Twa and Booty people came here.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And they people this land. They are derogatorily called pygmies. But they are the original family of our world. They introduced the entire concept of Ma'at, justice and peace. They came here. And then came a second wave, who is called the Clovis Folsom. They were black.
All right now.
And then the third, the Algonquin.
Yes, sir.
They were also black. Then came the Inuit, derogatorily called Eskimo. And then came who we call the Asian invaders. And they came in such large numbers, escaping Genghis Khan,
Yes.
that they then took over the gene pool of this country.
Yes, they did.
So what was once black became red. This is history, family.
It's history, sure.
There's evidence. See, I'm not into truth. I'm not really into truth because truth can change. Because yesterday could have been a very cold day, and that's the truth. And it's a fact. But today, the sunshine, we in t-shirts. That's the truth, and that's a fact. So it's the evidence that you have to go by.
Say that.
Because it's the science, the knowledge, the wisdom of who we are as a people that will help us understand. When we're dealing with these issues, there are certain issues that are not to be argued.
That's right.
I'm not arguing whether or not we deserve reparations.
Undisputed.
Amen.
We deserve reparations,
That's
and
it.
we're going to get it by any means necessary.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about any means necessary, let's talk about security.
Yeah.
You can have the world in your hands, but if you cannot secure it, if you cannot protect it, you don't have it. You're just holding it until someone stronger than you come along and take it
from.
Each black man in his
You got to protect what you have.
That's right.
You have to secure what you have.
Workout
Exactly.
regimen.
So even if they give you reparations, you got to be able to protect it. You got to be able to secure it.
That's right.
And we have that possibility. Because what we have to understand, family, looking at this from a global perspective, they stole Africans and brought them here.
That's why they don't like us in their house.
Exactly.
Stolen
Now,
African.
reparation.
You can't have stolen goods in your house. That's illegal.
And when they brought us here,
Exactly. They the ones stole us.
they enslaved us and made us work against
They
our
stole
will.
people.
We built this country. We built the machines.
Owned it and we built it.
We could not, because we were enslaved, we could not claim it, we could not have a patent on it, but we created them. And they got credit for it. Because who better to create the machines that's going to help what you do than the people that are working? That's the evidence. You in the big house and I'm down in the field, who's going to build the machines? It's the people in the field.
That's right.
And that's what we did.
The inventors. We are.
And down south, what was going on at the time is that the South was getting big money on the raw material. And the North was having problems because they were the industry.
Yeah.
That's where the actual factories, most of the factories were made, where the South had the raw materials.
Yeah.
And pretty soon the South said, well, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like this relationship, this 13 colony thing. And so they created what's called the Mason-Dixon line. And in creating the Mason-Dixon line, what they did was say, well, that's the North and we're the South. And the North began to put pressure on them because something happened, family. It's called capitalism.
Yeah.
Capitalism is fueled by competition. And if you could buy a human for $300, or you would pay somebody 30 years, $300 a year, which would you choose if you are profit motivated? You would pick buying somebody for $300 one time. And so the North said, but you gotta stop enslaving people. They said, why are we gonna do that? They said, because we gotta work together. And the South said, well, who need to work with you? I'm gonna break away. The North said, you can't do that. The South said, why not? Because then that would break up the Union. Abraham Lincoln said it. He said, if I could keep Africans enslaved and preserve the Union, I would. That's evidence, he said it. And so the South said, but we're gonna keep enslaving people. But you see, what happened is that they had to stop the enslavement of the transatlantic enslavement. Now, I know they tell you that they felt sorry, that they wanted to repair the damage. That's not why they did it. They did it because they gave so many guns to African people in Africa who were on their side, unfortunately. We got some people on their side right now. So shouldn't be surprised.
No bull.
We have to face the truth now. And what began to happen is that Africans began to fight the Europeans, and they could not enslave the way they used to. So they had to stop the enslavement process because they were losing money. And so what they decided to do was to now, they would breed the Africans in the United States, and that's how they were able to build up their enslavement, the Africans that were here, by breeding them and creating breeding farms. There's evidence and there are books on this.
We need to get her some water.
And then the South said, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to free our Africans. The North said you have to. So in the year check this out, family. In the year 1854, a man by the name of George L.W. Bickley, don't believe a word I say, Google this. George L.W. Bickley in Cincinnati, Ohio, decided that he was going to create an organization.
These Agent B's are back.
And the people that were part of the organization were called the Knights of the Golden Circle. And what they decided to do was, from the Mason-Dixon line, they were going to go down into Mexico. They were going to go to Nicaragua. They were going to go to Cuba. They were going to make Havana, Cuba, the capital of the Golden Circle, where they were going to enslave Africans, keep enslavement going, and cut themselves off from the North. And the North said, you can't do that. And the South said, yes, we can. And not only that, I'm tired of talking to you. We're going to do it. And that is why the Civil War happened.
We got 300 haters in here.
They weren't freeing African people. They were preserving capitalism and the Union. It's evidence. And they were going to create a new United States.
300
but it was going to include the southern part of the United States, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. And Havana, Cuba was going to become its capital.
Somebody said 300 tethers.
But listen to this. Check out the movie National Treasure, Book of Secrets. They'll tell you about it. It's of course fiction, but it still tells you about the Golden Knights. If you're into comic books, get Atomic Robo. Edition number 28, it deals with the Golden Knights. They were involved in the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. They were directly involved with the assassinations.
I'm not taking it down. Why would somebody tell me that?
Reparations is what we are going to get.
Y'all don't have to ask me
for all the work that our ancestors did. And when we get that reparations, we're going to do it in the name of our children who are yet to be born, because they are the best, and they come from the best, and only the best of the best could have survived. You are the best of the best. Our children are the best of the best of the best, and we're going to get that reparations.
Yes, we are.
And if not now, then when? And if not us, then who? It's going to be now, and it's going to be us. And this is a continuation. So as I leave the stage, I pay homage to our sister, Queen Mother Moore, who years ago talked about reparations. In Harlem, I heard her. I pay homage to INCOBRA, the organization formed in 1989 to fight for reparations.
Before it got corrupt.
No more games.
Before they...
It's time, family. Reparations now. Can I hear you say that? Reparations when?
Now.
Who?
Now.
Now. Hotep.
And I don't want no damn HBCU.
Give it up for Dr. Kaba.
I'm too fucking old to be going to school anyway.
You guys having a good time? Y'all good in the back? Coming to the stage now, ladies and gentlemen, one of my good partners, financial expert,
oh yeah,
the creator of Your Black World News. You already know. Ladies and gentlemen, give a nice warm round of applause to our good brother, Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm taking this in. What's up, everybody?
What's up, Doc?
B1?
B1.
B1?
B1.
B1?
B1.
Right on. Okay. Let's start with the obvious. Has anybody noticed how many black men are now on the apology tour?
Let's go.
Apologizing for tweeting.
Yes, sir. That's true.
Apologizing for who their friends are. Poor Kyrie Irving. You got some others out there that are apologizing. It's kind of sad, right? I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of sick of it. You shouldn't be apologizing to people who should be apologizing to you. Not at all. Now, I was thinking about this. I had some interesting conversations when we had the All Black National Convention. On Friday night, I got a call from a brother named Kanye West, and we talked for a while, and I was kind of dissecting what's happening to him.
Indeed.
We were sort of breaking down, and I think he was listening. I was explaining, look, this is what you're dealing with. This is not a matter of right or wrong. When you talk about something like reparations, this ain't a matter of right or wrong. In fact, everybody raise your hand if you know that we deserve reparations. Like this is not, this ain't calculus. It's not something we have to prove. Dr. Claude Anderson wrote a book called Black Labor, White Wealth. That explains why we deserve reparations. So when Ye and I were talking, because his name is Ye now or something, rappers, they changed their names and stuff. I said, this ain't about like whether you're right or wrong. This ain't about whether those people should be doing what they're doing to you. This is a power game.
Yes, it is.
And when you play the game of power, right and wrong goes out the window.
Right.
That's right.
True or false goes out the window. The whole pandemic, we had people telling us what was true when we had other people who said that's false.
Come on now.
And they were muted. Because you're playing a game of power. So at the end of the day,
just to finish the part about celebrities are not important, but I want to make this point. I said basically what they're doing is they have put an economic embargo on you. They have declared economic warfare against you.
That's right.
They're doing to you pretty much what they tried to do to every black man, woman, and child for the last 400 years. So the same way Kanye or Kyrie or whoever the celebrity is can't do what they want to do because of the economic consequences, a lot of us feel the same thing because we get up and we go to work every day working for people who don't like us very much. This is a common thing. So let's get back to that word power. Power is defined in the book Powernomics as the ability to pursue your agenda despite the opposition of others.
Say that.
Power is not the ability to do what you want if white people will allow it. Power is not the ability to do what you want if everybody helps you. Power doesn't mean that you have allies that are going to get you there. Power is the ability to pursue your agenda despite the opposition of others.
Say that.
So we are going to run into other groups that are going to attempt to use their power to mute the truth and keep you from getting what you want.
That's right.
So I talked to Tariq backstage. I said, tell me about the resistance that you're getting for this rally, because I know they're going to resist you. I know they're going to fight you. He said, yeah, there's been a lot of pushback. I said, absolutely. That's because you're doing something effective. The only black people who get no resistance are the ones who have submitted to the system.
Bob's Reward Club.
Weak ass men don't get resistance. The punks don't get resistance. Most of your celebrities are punks. That's a fact. So the power in the community is not on TV. It's not in your favorite rapper. It's not with your favorite actor. The power is right here. In this space. This is where black power lives. This is where the work is gonna get done.
That's right.
So out of tribute to a man I love like a father by the name of Dr. Claude Anderson. He lives not far from here. And just to tell you how effective he is, he's lived down the street from Howard University for decades. They've never had him come speak. They've had a long list of anti-black people speak, a whole lot of weak Negroes from Hollywood speak, but for some reason the greatest economic thinker of our generation, he just slips off the radar.
Of all time.
That tells you what you're up against. That's telling you what you have to fight. So let me give you something that will help you in this battle. I'm going to give you 3 core values that I believe in. This is not a solution that's going to come from the politicians. It's not a solution that's going to come from the celebrities. It's a solution that comes from us and our families.
That's right.
Black people have to do 3 things. We must educate our own children, because the public school is killing them at an early age. Our public schools are nothing but prisons on training wheels, and they're training our kids to become little white supremacists. Second thing we must do after we educate our own children, we must create our own jobs. A lot of our people cannot be free because you cannot expect to fight a power and beg them for resources at the same time.
That's right.
The man who feeds my family, I can't look at him and say, I'm the man of this house. He's the man of the house.
And that's always been the
So we have to create our own jobs so we don't send our kids across town begging for a job from people who hate them. The third thing we must do is we must support black businesses by any means necessary. Black people, you are not poor. You are not broke. Black people have 1.6 trillion in spending power. That exceeds the gross domestic product of Russia, Mexico, Saudi Arabia. We're tied with Canada. That hell can you have a spending amount that matches the GDP of Canada and call yourselves poor? So you don't have a lack of resources, you have a lack of planning, a lack of mindset, a lack of focus. Everything that we need, we've already got. So as we move forward with this reparations fight, and we should move forward with intentionality. I am not here to tell you what to do, but whenever a politician calls me, I tell them, if you can't support reparations, then I cannot support you. No reparations, no vote. 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 Thank you all very much. That's all I gotta say. God bless.
All right, give it up for Dr. Boyce Watkins. Are we still good, guys? We good on this side? We good over here? All right, now coming to the stage, we have one of our DMV sisters. She was in a couple of my movies. She's in the new movie that we have coming out called American Maroon, coming out in a couple of months.
Oh my God.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Dr. Mayad. Give it up for Dr. Mayad.
All right, Black Power. Black Power.
Black Power.
Black Power. FBA, make some noise. Giving all praises to the Creator and the ancestors, for we are our ancestors and we stand on their shoulders. Ashe. Love and honor and gratitude to Brother Tariq Nasheed. Let's give it up for Brother Tariq Nasheed. And all of the grassroots organizations for raising awareness around the issue of reparations for foundational Black Americans and for mobilizing our people to demand what is rightfully ours. But before I give my spill, I gotta address the elephant in the room. FBA is not a hate group. Say that. FBA is a lineage. FBA is a lineage that we are proud of and that we will protect and advocate for. That's right. So to my brothers and sisters on the continent and throughout the diaspora, FBA is no different from you recognizing your Yoruba lineage, or your Ashanti lineage, or your Akan lineage, or your Bamaliki lineage. And so if you truly are our brothers and sisters, then you will support us and align yourselves with us instead of aligning yourself with the dominant society when you come over here. Dr. Sandy Darity, in his book From Here to Equality, Reparations for Black Americans in the 21st Century, he defines reparations as a program of acknowledgement, redress, and closure for grievous injustices. So reparations isn't a handout. It is given to rectify harm. And although all other groups have received reparations for the harm done to them, when we demand reparations, the dominant society frames the demand as if we are asking for a handout from the federal government. Well, so-called whites have been given, so-called whites have been given handouts since the human category was invented after the Bacon Rebellion in 1676. See, whiteness is an invention. There's no such thing as a white person. And after the Bacon Rebellion, this government passed a package of laws that gave psychological and material value to those who were classified as white. And these laws gave patriarchal authority to white men. It gave power to white men. And it disempowered people who were classified as non-whites. In Dr. Amos Wilson's book, Blueprint for Black Power, how many of you have Blueprint for Black Power? Blueprint for Black Power by Dr. Amos Wilson. That book should be in every black home. In that particular book on page, I believe it was 34 or 36, he lists all of the handouts that whites have been given from 1675 to 1975. White people have been given handouts for 300 years plus. All right, and so from 1683 to 1889, the federal government passed acts and ordinances that gave lands to whites. Specifically, the Homestead Act, which was passed in 1862, it granted settlers 160-acre tracts of federal lands without charges. Over 250 acres of public lands were transferred almost exclusively to whites in the most important land program in American history. In the book, The Hidden Cost of Being African American by Thomas Shapiro, we learned that over 1 million whites today still live off of the wealth that they incurred from the Homestead Act alone.
Yes, they do.
From 1920 to 1975, our federal government, they passed the Mineral Leasing Act, which authorized the federal government to lease public land for the exploration of gas, oil, and other minerals. In 1926, they passed the Federal Air Commerce Act, where they gave licenses to qualified aviators. So you wonder why we don't have black-owned airlines. Your government made sure we didn't have black-owned airlines. All right, and the Federal Communication Commission, they issued the first licenses for television broadcast stations, and no grants were made to Negroes. And this is Dr. Amos Wilson's language. He says Negroes until token awards in the late 1960s and 1980s. So family, you wonder why we don't have black-owned television networks, because your government designed it to be that way. And so Dr. Amos Wilson's list does not include the New Deal policies that were passed under the Roosevelt administration, right? I'm talking about the FHA loans and the VA loans, which created a white middle class. And so while they were creating a white middle class, we were confined to ghettos. We were redlined and confined to ghettos. Ghettos are a government creation.
That's right. That's right.
And so this government has been complicit in putting us at the bottom of the dominance hierarchy. So it is the government that needs to fix this problem. Ashe? Man, we were enslaved. I mean, there's so many receipts, family. I mean, we could talk about enslavement, how we grew cash crops, you know, sugar, rice, cotton, and tobacco, which led to the growth and expansion of America. We fought in all of the wars. Hell, we helped white folks win their independence while we were still over here fighting for ours.
Amen. Shit, we did that 2 times.
We suffered numerous massacres. I know they like to shine a light on Tulsa, Oklahoma, but there were hundreds of black communities that they destroyed, which destroyed black lives, black poverty, black properties, black businesses, and black wealth.
My granddad was a career.
Yeah. My father was there.
All right, and so some people may say, well, Dr. Ma'at, well, what about today? Well, let's bring it up to today. They've murdered and falsely imprisoned our freedom fighters. Free Mumia. Let me hear y'all say, free Mumia and all political prisoners.
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 Ashe. Mass incarceration, police violence and killings, discrimination in housing and employment and credit markets, poorly resourced schools. All of these things, these laws, policies, and practices created a racial hierarchy that has placed so-called whites at the top and FBA at the bottom. We have been locked out of the American dream that they tell us it's so easy to get. Isn't that what America does? They project this image to the world. Just come to America and anybody can achieve the American dream, while they lock foundational black Americans out, and we are the people who built America. But no more, family, no more. We will no longer beg for a seat at their table. We're gonna build our own goddamn table. Just cut the check, and this time it better not come back insufficient funds. It better not come back insufficient insufficient funds. And FBA, never mind the naysayers, FBA. Never mind the detractors. You just keep your eyes on the prize. You hear me? And we will be victorious. Ask me, how do I know? Say it louder. How do you know, Dr. Muhammad? Because our ancestors said so. You remember when Dr. King said he went to the mountaintop and he saw that promised land? Our ancestors said so. So I want to hear you say, we will win. We will win. We will win. We will win. Just keep the faith, family. Keep the fight. Black power. Black power.
Give it up for Dr. Maas out of Baltimore. She is definitely a powerhouse. Before I bring up the next speaker, I'm going to remind us of the 5 pillars of reparations. You're going to repeat after me. Compensation. Restitution. Rehabilitation. Satisfaction. Guarantee of non-repetition. Awesome. So I think we're ready to bring up our next speaker. This is an elder, an esteemed elder that we've seen all in the community. He's been putting work in for decades. Professor James Small is a scholar, activist, dynamic speaker, and organizational consultant. He's been an activist since his teenage years. His in-depth knowledge, thought-provoking, and calm delivery are influential elements to break the programming of miseducation. He studied extensively with Dr. John Henrik Clark, Dr. Joseph Abin Yakubai, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, Dr. Asa Hiller, Dr. Wade Nobles, Dr. Amos Wilson, and Dr. Francis Press Welsing.
Khalid Muhammad.
Just to name a few. Professor James Small is found in the African American history and culture, life of Malcolm X, and African traditional religions. He loves all of our people. Oh, he's behind me. I was going to go on and on. Give it up for Baba James Small.
Professor.
FBA.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand who you are?
Yes, sir.
Then stop being afraid of anybody that try to encroach on you.
No, brother,
Secret to life is to have no fear. It was Malcolm that told us that. Reparation isn't a question. We're going to get it because we're going to take it. But it's your method. And so it's a legal question in the world. But how many people in here ever had a job or got a business? Raise your hand. You do it to get paid, right? So if somebody works your ass for 400 years and don't pay you, don't they owe you? I mean, think of it now. Somebody worked you for 400 years. Don't they owe you? And don't that come with back pay? Don't that come with interest?
Right.
Isn't that yours?
That's right.
See, some people try to make us feel bad for asking, some of our own too, for reparations. This isn't a question of asking anybody for anything. We're telling somebody, you forced me to render a service you didn't pay for. In the process, you murdered nearly 50 million of my kind.
That's right.
You owe me. I'm not asking you for anything. Dr. Asa Hilliard said, and I want to get this one straight, because I know a lot of us have been speaking on identity. If you don't get identity straight, you don't have a case.
That's right.
Okay? So foundation, I'm an African American. That's not a contradiction. But I'm also a foundational Black American. That's not a contradiction.
Freedman.
You understand? If someone is from Ghana and he migrates here, he's not a foundational Black American.
That's right.
But I want you to hold up because I heard some stuff I didn't like. That's still your family. He just got another case. That's right. I've had cases. I've been in that precinct. I've been in that jail cell.
Me too.
And I know how you get a case.
I do too.
People have different cases.
And I know how you beat them. Lawyers.
America committed a crime against people all over the world. And they got cases, but they don't have our case.
And they need to
We
stop
got a
interfering in
particular
our
case.
business, though.
But I want you to be clear. I'm not giving up Africa. Now, if some of y'all want to give up the richest piece of real estate on earth, do it. But I'm not doing it, and I'm not going to advise you to do it. That's yours. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a nation here called the United States of America that we built. We didn't just build it with labor. We built it with our intellect. We built it with our science. We built it with our technology. We built it with our spirituality, and we're still doing it. And we want it back. Let me tell you a little secret. People play games on your mind and it makes you think you're weak, and then when you think you're weak, you take a certain posture when it's time to fight. When you break down the ethnic groups in America, the largest ethnic group according to their tallies is the Germans. The second largest ethnic group is the, let me get it right, the foundational Black Americans. Now I want you to understand this because I'm going to show you something. The foundational Black Americans, according to the stats done by this criminal enterprise called the government, right, is second only to the German in population size in America. But the big lie is we're the only people whose immigrant population, whether they're making mistakes or not, we'll deal with that before I'm finished, is not counted as their population. Italians is counted as Italians, no matter when they got here.
I think they filmed.
Greeks are counted as Greeks, no matter when they got here.
She only got your back.
Chinese is counted as Chinese, no matter when they got here. But they don't do that for foundational Black Americans.
Thank you.
If they did that, the African Latino, who is not even treated kindly by the white Latino, is still counted as white folks and isolated from us. If we just took the African Latino into the family, we'd be the largest ethnic group in America.
That's all right.
I'm trying to tell you something now, how you get played out of pocket and then you're fighting out of the wrong pocket. The foundational Black American is the largest population in America. And when you talk about ethnic population wealth, you're the first or second wealthiest ethnic population in America. But if you don't get clear on your identity, you don't know how to take your riches and turn your riches into wealth. Because all the criminals that make up this government, the black ones, the white ones, and the brown ones that have not voted for our reparations, we should use the mechanism of how you get in office to get the criminals out of office. But we don't know how to use all the
Sammy
tools that
Sosa
are here.
Negroes rolling with us.
So I'm speaking about voting. Voting is a tool.
Yeah, I don't want no Sammy Sosa Negroes, dog.
Exactly. They hate
It is a
themselves,
tool
they
when
know
you live in a capitalist society that uses electoral processes to pick your leaders. Now, if you're going to sit back and let somebody else use that tool, you're going to lose the game. If you want to win the game, you better take control of every tool mechanism you got. But the first one is your identity. Power is the ability to define your reality, and that includes your identity, and everyone else should respect your decision on how you define yourself as foundational Black America. So me, I'm not going to say I'm not an African American, because Africa is my race, America is a geopolitical place. But foundational Black American is an ethnic statement. It talks about a population for the last 400 years that have been under duress in the United States of America, and we come from all over Africa, and we formed our own ethnic nation. And you have to know how to identify your ethnic nation if you're going to be able to fight for that. Yes, my brother from Nigeria, he got a case against Britain, and he's probably got a case against America, but not the same case we got.
But I respect him because he
All
has
right?
knowledge.
Now, I'm not going to argue with him. That's my brother. I'm going to fight for my case and ask for his assistance, and then when he fights for his case, I'm going to give him my assistance. Because this war is a race war, and it has been a race war for the last 3,000 years.
It's all across the
last
globe.
3,000 years, you have been in a race war.
We know.
This
Thank you. You
population,
just
the
old back
foundation
then.
of Black America,
Those black
for
people.
400 years, we have taken on the mightiest white empire ever built on earth.
That's right. Mighty have been
And we have
around.
defeated them multiple times at the game.
Sure have.
You understand? So when we tell them we're coming to the table to get our reparations, we coming to the table not to ask him for our reparations.
Command.
We are going to define methodologies for taking our reparations. Because it isn't just a conversation. It isn't just us being here talking today. Every one of you have to engage
Vanessa Rivas. All
the
we
foundation
doing
of
is
Black
talking
America
smack to white
and
people.
organizing
Stupid
the
bitch.
mechanism necessary to take our
Yeah,
reparations.
some stupid bitch.
And
Get that
understand
bitch out of
reparations
here.
is the pretty name about for the money they owe us.
About all
Okay?
we doing talking
We can
smack
throw
to
that
white
word
people.
out.
We
We're gonna
ain't
take the
saying
money
shit
they
to
owe
them,
us.
bitch.
Back
We
in the
giving our
60s, we
case
called it
why we
reclamation.
deserve
robbed a bank
reparations.
here and a store
And I'm
here
so
and-
sweet that these
and
bees
some of
keep
us did
flocking
get
around
away.
me. What the fuck?
Some went to jail, some of
It's
us
the, hey,
did
no, it
get
ain't.
away.
It's me.
We call it
It's the brown on me
reclamation.
brand. Okay? You always want to take something from
So
me, brother.
we have to reclaim what is ours.
You saw it? So,
And we have to be
why
clear.
you trying to
Don't
take
be
it from
ashamed of your
You can have
identity.
it, baby.
Thank you.
You're a foundation of
Thank
Black
you.
American, and you're
I just
also
know I
African.
smell like a candy
Africa is not a
apple, that's
place.
all.
That is our ancestral, historical, spiritual center. When we came before Columbus, we came
They
from
say I smell
Africa.
like chocolate.
When we came with the Maya Empire, we came from Africa. When we came on the slave ship, we came from Africa. Then all of us married together. I'm Native American, Chicora tribe, and African. I came on the ships with the Malians before Columbus,
How you
and I'm
gonna
still
feel with
African.
Tesla in there,
And I'm
huh?
here talking to you. I'm from South
Okay.
Carolina, the Gullah Geechee culture,
Can she fit in the
Chicora
middle?
Nation. Right? I'm straight up foundation of Black America, because I got all the elements.
Watch your hair on her, sis, because it.
But I'm not going to give nobody
Yeah,
Africa.
because it's Velcro.
But
We
guess
gonna all
what?
make it. We gonna all make
America
it.
is as much mine as Africa is. I bought this. I bought this. I paid blood for this. I
Damn
paid
right.
labor for this.
Damn
and
right.
I want to
Built it, we
control
bought
this.
it,
And
and
we are
we
going
need
to
to
control
control
this.
That's
Don't
right.
be afraid.
We kind of do.
White
No
people across the planet is at minus birth rate. Not zero birth rate.
Yeah, but
They're
they need
at
some buffer
minus
classes
birth
to come in
rate,
here and
meaning
train
they
one
cannot have enough
tonight.
babies to keep up with the natural death process. So that's what the LGBT thing is about. That's what, no disrespect, if a brother or sister in that, they got to deal with that. That's what they got to deal with. But I got to deal with the politics of it, okay?
That's right. With
That's
the politics.
what that whole thing of intermarriage, you saw how the intermarriage thing has souped up? That's what that's about. Trying to now supplant your gene into their gene, hoping that they can survive. But they're not gonna survive. But most of us here will not live to see their death. But we know their death is going to come. But what we can do is make sure we make the case for reparations now. And like that dude was talking about segregation, we want reparations now. We want reparations tomorrow. We want reparations forever. Because we're going to take the whole damn country. So we just want to be clear. Don't give up being an African. That's yours too. I want that gold and that diamond.
I saw the irritated Jenny.
I want the platinum and the tungsten and the
the
gold.
irritated Jenny, and
That's
he was just
mine. I'm
chopping
not
it up. He
giving
took
that
my
up.
number.
But I want this too. I want this
No
because I
bullshit.
built it.
Trying to ask
I
me
want
about
this
the
because I
schools.
raised it up. I want
said,
this
man,
because
ain't
if
no
you
gay
look at all
shit
the
in my
major
son's school.
inventions
I
in
kill
this
'em
country,
motherfucker, but
we did it. Not
they not
them. They
teaching no
took
black
it,
history.
but
That's
we
my
made
problem.
it. We
Because they
invented
call
that
it
light
critical
bulb,
race
not
theory.
them.
Get the fuck out of here with your
We
white
invented
people
the cell
feel
phone,
good
not
name.
them.
Nah, well, I
We
that ain't
invented
even
the
no white
computer,
people. This
not
is-
them.
don't
And you
teach
can
it
go
no
on
more.
and on and on. Take our
That was part of the
technology out, they
movement.
die.
No, I'm
That's a
telling
part of
you.
your reparations.
NBC.
They stole all your
Stop
patents.
teaching.
They stole all your technology.
It
They
ain't nothing
even
to do
stole
with
your hip-hop rap
reparations.
music.
They just
Made
stopped.
trillions of dollars of it.
That's
And when
sad.
somebody
That's
stand
like
up
they
like
took the
Kanye, they
bands
try to
off
shut
too.
him down.
The
Yeah,
live
they
And so
did.
I spoke up for Kanye a couple of weeks ago and tell them, I'm not going to let them shut him down. And you shouldn't let them shut him down.
I can agree
Foundation
with that.
of Black America, be proud of your identity, all of your identity. If I went to Africa, I would meet a Yoruba man, and he would be a Yoruba man.
I don't agree with how they
and
trying
proud
to
of
break
that.
them.
He would be a
But all that
Nigerian
bullshit.
and proud of that. He would be from Benin State and proud of that, and he'd be an African and proud of that. So don't let nobody limit your identity. You're an African. You're an African American. You're a foundation of Black American, and you are some more stuff. Own your identity. Shackle yourself to your identity, and then make your case for reparations, 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 reparations. Now, peace and blessings.
We're so in that Hebrew stuff, but we still of it. Right?
Give it up for Professor James Small. Yes, the elder has been putting in work.
For 800 years.
Next up,
I got 9%.
next up,
y'all.
oh shucks.
Nah, cause I got my other phone.
Mr. Greg Marcel
I don't need you buck dance. No buck dance.
Greg Marcel Dixon is from South Carolina. He's proud of his Gullah Geechee heritage. He's an educator, and he is running against Mr. James Clyburn. No, that's not why I did that. We want to be respectful.
Butter biscuits.
He's in the process of running. Give it up for Marcel, y'all.
We love you, Marcel.
Hey! DC, where are you?
Right here, baby.
If you're going to be queer, that's my life.
SC, where are you? All right. All my people, give yourselves a round of applause for being here today. This is amazing.
Yes, it is, brother.
So, we here. Look at us, we here. Strong, intelligent, beautiful, kind, powerful.
Yeah.
So we here, but we ain't arrived. And I'm gonna tell y'all why. Let me read these statistics to you. Between 1910 to 1997, we have had stolen 16 to 19 million acres. We are now left down to 10% and dwindling.
Wow.
Okay?
Yep,
19% of Black families have a negative net worth. That's 3.5 million Black families that are so impoverished that even if you were to give them money, it will not bring them out of poverty. It will just be to try to get them out the hole. An additional 4.5 million Black families have less than $10,000 a year in disposable income, okay? Right now, as we speak, COVID-19 came along and wiped out 50% of Black businesses. But before COVID-19, we were slated as a community to head to zero wealth. COVID has come along and accelerated that. So, when you look at this data, I ask, where are our allies? I mean, I'm sure some of them are here, but where are they? And then I ask, where are our leaders? I don't know where they are, but I know where they should be, and they should be right here. Right here with us. Exactly. And then you look at these politicians with their six-figure salaries. Now, the Republicans, okay, they suck. I don't know who's responsible for them keeping their job, but I know who's responsible for the Democrats, and I call them Democrats because they feed off of us while doing nothing for us. That's right. Guess who's responsible for them keeping their jobs? We are. We are. For the past 60 years, the Democrats have existed off of the Black vote. They will not exist without us. And yet we are heading to the point of economic
and political extinction because of them. Now, when these issues are brought up, they come to us with excuses. When we say reparations is owed to descendants of American slaves, the people whose ancestors were promised but never received their 40 acres and a mule, they start what Tariq Nasheed says, splaining. They start to say, well, you know, we can't do any policies for you based on race. That's one excuse they like to say. Don't fall for it. Reparations is not done based on race. Reparations is done based on lineage and political status. Now let me give you some examples. The Catawba Native Americans in South Carolina, a tribe that was formerly enslavers, they just received 20 acres of land. 911 families, people who are family members, descendants of those killed during the 9/11 attack, they get resources from the government. Illegal immigrants right now, as we speak, receive billions of dollars from the government to clothe and feed for them. One estimate says they spend as much as $8 million a day feeding and clothing
For the people
illegal
talking about he
immigrants.
gay, what the fuck do that got to do with reparations?
Are receiving, have received $60 billion, and as of yesterday, they've given them another $400 million.
Right, he on code.
So
What the
when
fuck
they
is
tell
wrong
us
with
they can't do anything
I don't care who he's
for us,
sleeping with.
do not
Don't you
fall
got a
for it.
motherfucking
They
mate?
do things
Worry about that
specifically
shit.
for everyone else, and right now, as we speak, they're making more promises to other groups. If you have a child,
Don't
and
worry
your
about
child
it. Don't
decides,
worry.
a
I'm
child
for the people.
decides that he or she wants to be a she or a he, the Democrats are saying, hey, we can do that.
He calls it out.
Right now, our country has
I ain't got no
taken
problem with him long, because what he
over
talking about.
5 million illegal immigrants since the start of this administration. That's putting a strain on resources on the state level, the municipal level, and the federal level. But the Democrats will say, hey, that's good, we can take them too. The Democrats will say that abortion
Right, why you
is a
bringing
black
it up
issue.
and he not?
That there should be nothing more important to us than aborting our beautiful black children. Exactly. And they have sworn to protect women's rights. But who the hell is protecting FBA's rights?
That's right.
Exactly.
Black women.
They say they can't do anything specific for us, but this nation has done specific policies against us for centuries, okay? Chattel slavery was done specifically to us on the municipal level, the state level, but even the federal level. The Fugitive Slave Act, the Dred Scott decision.
Yeah.
Okay? After slavery, we had Jim Crow. We had redlining. When slavery ended, we were not just freed, but as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, we was freed to hunger and famine and terrorism. Our black Wall Streets that we managed to build from nothing burnt to the ground. Now, I was in a conversation with someone who is from Haiti, and I love Haiti, a beautiful country. I visit there, and I have nothing against Haiti. But he was talking about how his parents, grandparents came here, and from nothing, they were able to achieve a middle-class life. And I said to him, should I be impressed? My people from nothing built not just one, not just two, not just 3, 4, 5, but over 50 black Wall Streets. I've never seen any other group do that. Give it up for our people. Give it up for our people. Give it up for our people.
Yeah.
So, this country, again, has done policies specifically against us. But when it's time for them to repair the specific wrongs they've done to us, now they want to tell us they don't see color. Now they want to tell us that we're all human beings. I don't give a damn what you see or don't see, but I know what I see. I see my people suffering every single day, and I'm sick of it. Sick of it.
Salt life, eat a dick.
Now, I want to address some things here. We do have an issue in our community with people believing that
Eat a dick,
the answer lies in us building an economic base. And who can argue against that? We do need to build the economic base. I support black businesses. I support group economics. But don't let anyone tell you that the government is not the answer, okay? When white America was filled with poverty and homelessness, do you know what this government did? In 1861, Abraham Lincoln signed the Homestead Act. They gave away almost 300 million acres of land to European immigrants, to white Americans, some who were former Confederates that fought against the nation. They gave them land while giving black Americans nothing but poverty, okay? $10 trillion given primarily to white Americans. When World War I ended and millions of veterans returned from overseas, there were plenty of white veterans that were impoverished and on the streets. When World War II started, the president at that time, Roosevelt, said, we cannot have a repeat of that. So do you know what they did? The GI Bill that gave over $2 trillion
my
to
granddaddy
roughly
ain't get that
16
either.
million white Americans, allowing them to become homeowners, allowing them to go to school, allowing them to get a pension. They did the Social Security Act. They did the Labor Union Act. There is no group in this country that has ever gotten the wealth they've had because they simply pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. Okay? Don't let them tell you they have. Japanese Americans are one of the richest demographics in our nation. They got reparations.
Yes, they did.
Chinese Americans, when they first started coming here en masse, they came to finish the railroads that our people had already largely built. Remember that.
Why they try to take the damn credit.
But not only they were paid for their labor, but not only were they paid for their labor, they were giving land, which today are the Chinatowns. So, at that same time, we were getting land taken from us. The #1 cause of lynch mobs was not false accusations against a black man, it was black land theft, okay? Always remember that. So when someone comes to us and they say the government is not the answer, tell them to shut their damn mouths, okay? The government is the answer. And when it comes to descendants of American slaves, freemen, which is our congressional term, or foundational black American, which is a social term, when it comes to us, now the government better be the answer because they sure as hell have been the problem. Now.
Keep going, brother. Keep going. We got it.
Now, we cannot and we will not accept any excuses from any politician. The Democrats will have you believe that if you vote for the Republicans, because I'm not a fan of either one, that our hope of reparations is never going to happen. Well, I say for the past 60 years, we've been voting for the Democrats. Y'all seen reparations happen yet? Okay. The answer is not to feel enslaved to any party. The answer is not to feel beholden to any party. The answer is to feel beholden to policy. Okay? Say it with me. Policy always, party never. Say it with me. Policy always, party never.
Do y'all get what he's saying?
Now, when we go to the Democrats and we say, hey, our people are suffering, our people are hurting, they don't like to say, well, what about the Republicans? You ask the Republicans? That was really interesting to me. You tell us the Republicans are bad. We believe you. You tell us that the Republicans won't do anything for us, and we believe you. And then we vote for you. But then when we go to you to hold you accountable for our votes, you say to us, why don't you go to the Republicans? Because you just told us not to. If I go to McDonald's and I get a Big Mac, and my Big Mac is undercooked, what the hell do I look like going across the street to Burger King? If I buy a TV set from Walmart and the TV is defective, does it make one bit of damn sense to go across the street to Target? You see, the party that gets the vote is the party that gets the smoke. Remember that. Now, you see, you're not gonna have it both ways. You're not gonna have it both ways where you get the vote, but you don't want to get the accountability. Okay? Also, let's deal with another lie. I heard Tariq and I heard a few people up here shut down some myths and rebuttals against reparations. But there's one that people like to say, well, we can't afford that. Let me explain something to you. If you borrow $50 from me and you say you want to pay me next week, and I come to you to get my $50, is it my responsibility to figure out how you are going to pay? No, that's your problem. Okay, but the good news is, the United States of America is what we call a monetary sovereign, meaning they can generate as much currency as they need. Don't ever believe this government has no money. America can never run out of money. The only thing that limits what America can spend is inflation. But even with that, check this out. People like to say if you put too much money into the economy, you'll cause hyperinflation. That is historically inaccurate. I'm going to give y'all 3 examples of when this government has spent the most money. Number 1, the New Deal. Roosevelt spent trillions of dollars to provide jobs for struggling Americans, to avert homelessness. And guess what it did? It saved the American economy and brought us out of the Great Depression. Number 2, when President Obama got in office and we was going through the Great Recession, this government spent $29 trillion to bring our economy from the brink of another depression. Number 3, this was more recent. When the COVID-19 came, Donald Trump spent over $3 trillion. You know what I didn't hear anyone say? No one asked, what about the debt?